How's it going? You all right? This week is week 59. Can you believe that? 59 weeks of talking to an amazing friend on Instagram Live to keep my clock regulated. And this week is a special one. Talking to a friend who I've had the privilege of being on tour with. I've played gigs with them. I've done radio shows with them, or sort of as guests, actually. But yeah, it's the one and only Benga, who's an esteemed pioneer of a genre called dubstep, and at such an early age as well. Like, he sort of discovered this genre and blew up, or sort of helped discover the genre, at least at the age of 15. Can you believe that? Easy Keshav, how you doing? Easy Sangu, how are you? Yeah, hi Yish, how's it going? So this is lovely, because I haven't been able to speak to Benga for a while. I think the last time we caught up was on his first re-emergence at Fabric. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with him. And let's see how this chat goes. He's here. Yay! I'll just add him into my my boudoir. Studio boudoir. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if he joins. Hey, easy, bruv.
Yo!
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm really, 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 really happy to see your face, bro.
You too. You're one of them guys that never has a hair out of place.
Bruv.
Ever.
Apart from when the wind blows, and then I look like a dildo. I look like a dildo with wings, like just flapping wings. Because all this is fucking bald, bro. So all this hair has to be pushed forward like a bastard. It's all just a comb over. You know what I mean? All of this shit.
Whatever, man.
You know what I mean?
Try to be humble.
Oh, mate, it's just real. I'm old now, bruv. Do you know what I mean?
We all are.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. So I started this whole thing off about how, you know, you're obviously a Don and you created this genre and all this. But one of the biggest things about you is that all the success happened mega early for you. Like, you were super young when you got into music, right?
Yeah.
So how, what, like 14 or something, or younger?
Younger, but I had my first record out when I was 15.
Fucking hell, bruv.
What you got there in your cup?
Just JD and Coke, man. Standard.
Okay. Okay. Jack Daniels.
Standard.
Yeah,
Hi,
on to the
Shruti. How's it
man's
going?
whiskey,
There you
yeah.
go. Dude, at the end of the day, it's like I do this every week, right? So if I did this, like, on any expensive thing, I'd be bankrupt by now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
just,
hear you.
this is
I
like
hear you.
this is on special
hear
offer right
you.
now in Tesco for 16 quid a bottle. I'm just like, you know, excellent.
I'll take it.
Do you know what I mean?
COVID life.
Exactly. And thank you for helping me maintain my hair perfection and such.
No, I'm with you.
So
And
yeah,
you can see I'm still quite ghetto.
I mean, bruv, you did have your moments of extravagance with your hairstyles and such.
Yeah, I've been there.
So I don't know about still ghetto, because you had like peaks and troughs, bruv.
I feel like coming towards the end of my heavy touring life
Yeah.
was probably the best point, where I had short hair and I was wearing like Rick Owens and that kind of stuff, and I thought I was the man.
You were the man. That's why. What are you talking about? You were the man. In fact, okay, let's get this timeline straight, because I'm all over the shop. I was literally writing down about how we met and everything. And I was thinking, I can't remember the first time we met was either at Glastonbury or at that gig in Reading. Prash's gig.
No. Way before that, I feel like we met at Herbal.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Long time.
Herbal days.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
off. Really?
How do I remember that and you don't?
That shows my age. What?
You keep banging on about your age. You look like you're about 28. Actually,
Bruv.
man, I'm lying.
Just stop trying to flirt with me in public, man. Let's do it on the side after, man. But seriously, Herbal days. I'm shocked, bro. I'm really shocked. Wow.
Yeah.
That's time ago. Oh, well, so we know each other for longer. Hey, Durga, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us yourself. You're basically catching up with me, catching up with a mate of mine. And the mate happens to be Benga, which is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah, man.
So thank you for joining.
It goes back a long way. It really does.
I'm really shocked, bruv. I didn't realize we'd known each other for that long.
Am I cramping your style with water?
No, bro, that is your fucking thing. I've got loads of friends that are teetotal, man. It's just part of it's part of the life. You can't fucking continue doing my nonsense forever. You know what I mean? And in fact, let's get into all of that, right? So your career started, your first record was 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then things started happening, your records started coming out. And the thing is, you're 15 and then suddenly you just fucking exploded, like massively exploded. But it took 2 albums to explode, really.
Yeah, it took 2 albums, but I feel like I was touring the world, late 17, early 18 years old. What seemed like I exploded overnight wasn't quite that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a hard slog.
I was playing quite big shows before I had Diary of an Afro Warrior out. So,
that's mad. I mean, that's the thing. But also doing that sort of hardcore touring life as well. And I don't know what it was like for you, but I'm sure you must have had some shit gigs as well getting there.
Yeah,
like
of course.
That hustle gig, just playing any gig you can, and then all the rest before it tips into a career. Do you know what I mean? It's like struggling and hustling, and then suddenly it tips. And that's got yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna go back to my very early shows, but most of my very early shows were at Forward, which was at Plastic People, which had a wicked system. So for me, even though it was small, I still kind of learnt my craft in a good space. You know?
Yeah. It was intimate and but that's the thing. I remember Forward being 2 distinct phases. The first time when Paul Rose Hot Flush took me down, and I was just like, bruv, it's all just intros. I don't understand it. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously things picked up. Then jammers, you couldn't get in for love or money. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
What was that? Did you play both sides of that, or did you sort of like the empty sides, or was it that?
I played both sides.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think the first time I played at Plastic People was for Hatcher's birthday with Back to Back with Scream and Mighty Mo.
That legendary set, the one where it all went off.
No, that was after that.
Okay.
That was after that. I think we might have played Hatcher's birthday twice, to be fair, because I think I can remember the time that you're talking about when it started to like go off. And I can still remember the record for me that was my biggest record at the time, which was called Flames, which came out on Big Apple. I'll never forget that. I was like, we was all kind of very half time, and then I just came in with this soca rhythm. And everyone was just...
It was a way of moving your shoulders without it being double time. It's all the way of moving your shoulders and getting that groove without it actually being double time.
Yeah, definitely.
Just add some speed into the middle of it without having to add the actual speed into the break. It's fucking sick.
Yeah. Do you know what? I feel like obviously coming from 2-step and then having the very halftime records that were like Loafer, Scream. I feel like it just gave me a lot of license, you know, to just mix it up without just losing what we're talking about. But yeah. But
you've always been able to sort of, I don't know how to say this. It's like coloring outside the lines almost. Do you know what I mean? Like not keeping with it, but sort of coloring outside it and making it go somewhere else. And that, so I mean, you know, as you said, that was the first thing you played. But then you send, and forgive me for saying this meteoric rise, because we all know it's not overnight and stuff. But to then go from that to playing stadiums wasn't that big a leap for you. It was like a year or 2, maybe. It wasn't like a decade of hard graft to get it. It was like almost quite concentrated for you. Or am I wrong?
No. Do you know what? I feel like there were 3 parts.
Okay.
Obviously, play the early Plastic People, and then playing Roskilde and shows like that.
Yeah.
And then playing like doing Magnetic Man and closing closing festival main stage in front of 60,000 people and doing tours like that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, Magnetic was like a whole other door that we'll come to, but I think that because that's, I mean, you know, it's got to have been something to deal with all of that progress at such a young age for you, man. Because like no one tells you how to deal with it. You just kind of jump in and go.
Yeah.
You know, and it must have been a fuckload of fun as well.
Yeah, it was great. Listen, I guess one of the keyest things that I learned now, I see now, I've got a son. One of the keyest things that I see now is that he's going to need me to ground him. You know, I never really had that without
right.
without going too deep into my father and stuff like that, I never really had that. So I was just a kid going wild.
Which is what you're meant to do. I mean, or well, you're meant to do. You're meant to, you know, it's one of those things, you enjoy what you've got, right, while you got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just feel like I was very ungrounded and wild.
And we all know the stories. We all know this. I mean, that was, you know, one of the things that was interesting to me was just like the sheer, at the time anyway, when we'd roll out to various clubs or whatever, was just the sheer dedication to that, just the fucking, I'm having fun. And then that was it, going in. And it's interesting because I think for a lot of new artists right now, I mean, forget that COVID aside, right, or the world aside, but a lot of artists coming up probably wouldn't know how to deal with that amount of freedom or that amount of like, okay, we're in this situation. Oh, it's the rock and roll lifestyle thing. I've got to do this. Do you know what I mean? Was that that impulse, or was it just a compulsion to just stay in that mashup zone as much as possible?
It was fun. Like I say, I was very ungrounded. There was no one to tell me no.
Yeah.
And I guess at that age, growing up how we grew up as well, in Croydon, Scream and I, we was like quite, I don't know how to put it. But we was just so, that's what you did. You partied. Do you know what I mean? We grew up in that life. I guess my brothers were into the same kind of thing. His brother was into the same kind of thing. And then carrying that onto music, it's like everywhere you go, you can do that without even having to force it. You know, like literally every weekend, our riders are there. People that we like as well are there.
That's the most important bit, is actual people that you like, enjoy hanging out with as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like your mates are there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fucking recipe just to make things happen.
Every weekend. Right?
Yeah.
Every weekend, your mates are there with you, and you have a really fun time. It's not like it's yeah.
Well, so that, you know, so Magnetic was a next peak, like a next peak, because then that's when major labels, beg your pardon, fucking burping like a bastard, sorry. That's when major...
shout someone out?
Yeah, sure.
Yo, Grand, my brother.
Safe. Yeah, shout out whatever you want, by the way. And also, if you're in the comments, you've got a question for Benny, just hit up the little question mark and I'll filter and add if it is appropriate. But yeah, so fucking... so
appropriate.
Appropriate. Yeah. Bruv, I'm appropriate as fuck.
That whole sentence made no sense.
Well, you know, I think it's moderation. As I've gotten on in time, it's about sort of, you know, in fact, fuck this. You know that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're on Radio 1 too. You know about how to curtail language as and when you have to. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Before you go on air, it's like, fuck
Pete
this,
Tong.
fuck that, and then go on.
I remember Pete Tong saying to me when we did Ibiza Ushuaia, I can't remember what exactly what that was called, Radio 1 Ibiza, and he was just like, Benga the Maverick, just because of the stuff that I was saying and playing. Mental. Out to Lee Darkside as well, brother.
Big up Britty in the comments too. But yeah, so going Magnetic, right? That's when like that was sort of all eyes were on you guys then, right? So you, Arthur, Scream, Scream, and it's got a. I mean, how was that sort of a switching point for you in terms of not only success and all that sort of adulation and, you know, top 10 things and all sorts of stuff was popping off, and even bigger tours, like you said. But was that a sort of turning point for you personally as well in terms of how you handled things? Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot to unpack in that. But yeah, I mean, I started to realize that I guess, do you know what? We come back from Australia, and I think by that time I made On a Mission, and we had to go and write the Magnetic Man album.
Right.
But at that point, I started to feel like I needed to do more. I remember coming back from Australia and I was just like so emotional. And just before we went into the Magnetic Man to write that Magnetic Man album, we went to Rock in Cornwall. I was just so emotional. I was starting to feel like things were really changing. And if I didn't change with it, then I was going to get left behind.
Right. So it was a rush to keep up almost.
Kind of, but it just meant that I needed to change a little bit more how I was looking at the touring life.
Okay.
Because I couldn't grow musically in that headspace.
And that's got to be difficult because, as you said, in a party environment, you get mash up, you go to the studio, you make tunes to play when you're getting mash up next time you go out. So it's like it's this perpetual cycle. It's like, you know what, that'll be sick in a rave. You make it in that environment, take it to the rave, it works. Then you party, you go back. It's that whole cycle. So touring on that scale kind of breaks that cycle, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like there was obviously things that would change me being so connected with it. Sometimes I'd come home straight away and write and be quite immersed in that in the rave still. But that wasn't the only thing that was getting me. I feel like it was too much. It was too much, and I wasn't like, I'll say it again, I wasn't growing with the pace of the scene.
Okay.
So there were new producers at really big heights. Their sounds were a lot, I'm not sure going to say stronger, but they understood production better than me.
Right.
And I needed to do that. And I just felt like a lot of things needed to change. So I guess with the whole Magnetic Man thing, when we took that leap and we did that Magnetic Man album, I also thought I need to execute more with Benga, which then came chapter 2.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, it was just too much. It was too much, mate. It was too much.
I mean, that's the interesting thing. Like, beg your pardon. It's that whole. It's a little bit that typical rock and roll thing of the difficult second album, because you kind of purge yourself in. And I know the Diary of Afro Warrior wasn't your first album, but it sort of felt like you setting out your stall, like, this is fucking me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then following that up's got to be really hard, particularly as your whole circumstances have changed. It's like, well, do you still draw from the same well as that? But you can't, because you've moved on. You're a different person. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's a difficult thing to. So it's that difficult second album thing, which is clearly the case. Do you know? But you've also got major label pushing it, all that kind of stuff, and you know, it's got to have been quite intense for you, particularly as, like, you know, I guess Magnetic Man was seeing like more and more eyeballs on it and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, again, it was just all too much for me, man. I feel like if I had to do that all again, leading up to Magnetic Man and chapter 2, I feel like I would have started slowing down the touring maybe even 3 years before that.
Wow.
Because,
okay.
Yeah, honestly, because I feel like I needed to do so much work mentally to be able to maintain and understand what was going on around me properly. And it was just, I feel like, but by the time it came around to chapter 2, I didn't even I think it takes quite a lot of awareness to deliver more than one or two albums. You know? Because you need to be able to recharge properly.
Which is kind of ironic, because you produce like a fucking, like I've said this to you before, you produce like drinking water. Like, you just fucking produce like music like you're breathing. Instinctive and from the hip. It's like constantly like pouring out of you in terms of like, you know, you write grooves, bang, tune done, bang, tune done. But I guess in terms of A&Ring yourself or filtering all that into an album and trying to say something an album, that's a whole other process, right?
Yeah. And I it's funny when I think about music now, and I think about how I even set about to write music now. It's a completely different process, and I just feel like I would have needed that then. I would have needed how I approach it now then. Even the when you talk to me about the A&R process and things like that, I think about I just think about how I literally, there was no thought process back then. It was just make tunes and release them.
Right.
And I just feel like it just needed so much more, because at the level where I was at, it just needed so much more understanding.
Mm. That's interesting, man, because I've always felt like when I've heard your tunes that you know, not dub plates, pre-dub plates, just tunes you've made before they even get fucking pressed, you know what I mean? Like demo. Like, bro, it's like a direct stream of consciousness from your head to the computer. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, I can see that and I can feel that. And that instinct, that sort of honesty that comes out of you, I can fucking feel in the tunes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe there's I don't fucking know what I'm talking about, but maybe it's difficult sort of maintaining that rawness, but also making something that appeals to a big label and guest artists as well, like having to choose like guests and play that whole other game of chess, like fucking 4D chess, kind of takes away from that instinct that you automatically have, maybe.
Yeah, but listen, again, it takes the understanding of that. I had that, but no understanding of that.
Right.
I feel like that's a whole different journey on its own. It's a whole different understanding that now it's taken me years to get that balance right and be able to write so rawly and so creatively, but deliver it properly.
Right.
And that's taken me a long time. That's taken me a long time to be able to execute the things that I want and it still carry that rawness.
Do you mean by technique or in your own headspace? Like studio technique or within your own mind?
A bit of both.
But yeah.
A bit of both, because it's studio technique in terms of I needed to understand music better, but then I also needed to understand writing and delivery, because when I used to write them tunes that you were listening to, it was just me. I would write and finish the tune all in the same time. Yeah. And I remember the first time I wrote with someone like Mark Ronson, and the way they just wrote demos and then just left it. That was so alien to me, and how they wrote demos and how they made big records. But even then, it didn't dawn on me. Things were just moving so fast, so I wasn't really picking up these things. And then it took for me to kind of have this mental illness to slow down and then actually start to think about some of the things that I'd come across and learn and apply that to how I wrote.
That's fascinating. And then, so when you say that, you know, you had a mental illness, there's been, you know, a reemergence that happened a while back, and then one before that. And I'm trying to place when we went to India together. I can't remember when, like, you definitely sobered up. So you were touring clean. And I remember me and Decoder were touring with you. And sort of, we were, you know, traveling in India together. We're just on a mashup one as well. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, bro, and I was like impressed at your like sobriety. And also we got your rider. It's fucking great. So it's just like wicked. We got Benny's rider, excellent. And it was my birthday, I think, actually, as well. So it's a whole other thing. But it was, I'm trying to think, was that 2013 or I think it was 2013, 2012, no?
What were we, 20?
That India tour. Hang on.
Yeah, I'd say 2013, end of 2013.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Also, every time I type in Benga, right, it auto-corrects to Bengon, which means aubergine in various Asian languages.
Say the word again. So
Bengon. Bengon.
Bengon.
Bengon, yeah. Bengon's like aubergines. It's just so funny because it auto-corrects and yeah.
How can I work that into my new productions?
Bengon banger, man. That's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, man, we should have ordered that in India. Fuck, I don't know why I didn't even make that connection back then. Shit. Next time, bruv. But yeah, so touring sober, right? That's a whole other fucking thing. Sort of like, you know, I had such respect for you because I'm like, you know, I'm glad because we're mates, we got to travel together. But you know, when you're on tour on your own, it's like, it's shit. It's just like, it's really shit.
And it's just, it can be.
Yeah, and it's like 80% travel and waiting for stuff, and then 20% of it's the actual gig. And then you're in transit again. So for me, one of the things that made it sort of not easier to deal with, I guess, was just the booze and having fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so of course.
Touring sober, was that difficult for you, or was it like easy?
You know, I'd met a girl, and actually before that, as it go, as I started to eat healthily.
Okay.
Right. And
that's another thing that gets fucked up on touring is your diet. You just eat shit constantly as well. Yeah.
I mean,
fair play.
What are you supposed to do?
Fair play. Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? But I guess like, I started to eat healthily. And then once I started, and I just wanted to take it to the next level. I wanted to take everything to the next level. So I stopped drinking and doing as many drugs. But I was still doing quite a lot of drugs.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, that's a fair enough admission because I thought you were completely clean at that point. Because you know when you came to mind,
I had my moments.
Because you know when you came to mind and we were doing your visa, which took fucking ages.
Yeah.
And we had this whole discussion about this.
Yeah.
And I just thought, fuck, Benny's completely like clean and not even on tour. But yeah, so you had moments of relapse, I guess, in that whole situation.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it came to the end, really, because I wasn't drinking as much, but then I was doing a lot of drugs. But then I was always only doing drugs on tour.
Right.
But then I started doing drugs at home.
Shit. Okay.
Basis.
Right.
And that's how it all came to a halt. But yeah, I mean, how was it touring sober? It definitely wasn't as good, and it definitely as easy. It definitely wasn't as good, and it definitely wasn't as easy. Only because, again, at that point, that was most of my life. I didn't really have any thoughts outside of music and touring. Like now, I'm thinking of so much more, and my wisdom and growth is everything to me. So if I had that mental space then it would have been easy for me to come home and listen to an audiobook or something like that,
or just
or get to my hotel and listen to an audiobook or read a book. But that wasn't part of me then. So go back to the hotel, just be like this.
Yeah. So, what do I do? Who do I get fucked up with? Who can I call? Hang out with and all that kind of shit. Yeah. Do you know, it's an interesting... Did you ever... I was talking to someone recently who was a psychotherapist doing research on touring and the stresses of mental health on touring. And one thing came to me is and I had... I guess sort of my peak was in 2002 with this punk band I was in, when it's thousands of people and you're just this is fucking nuts. And I was 22 at the time, wasn't I? I was this is fucking mad. It's a complete head fuck. And then sort of landing back in Heathrow and having no money to get the tube home. Do you know what I mean? Going from that swing to just crash, just adulation and fucking cars and flights and everything, then to bang, rock. And I couldn't get home. I was this is mad. This is a complete head fuck. And one of the things and it's similar to what you were saying, is one of the things that fucked with me back then was isolation.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that's kind of that same thing, that it's just sitting in the hotel room going, what am I meant to do now? What the fuck?
Well, listen, man, you know when I was at home?
Yeah.
And I started doing a lot of drugs at home. That was because my normality was being so high.
Right.
And functioning in that world, that I started to think to myself that I can't be normal without him. And I guess it's like, it's so groundedness, normality. And even when you're talking about going on tour and coming home and then normality hitting you and you can't adjust to it, you know, you can't, or it just hits you hard. That was me. You know, when I was smashing drugs at home.
I like Gran 89, Grand 85 in the comments saying you go gym. And I'm like, you know, that's not some bad advice because you actually did do that for a while as well, didn't you?
Yeah. But again, everything was moving so fast that I wasn't even paying attention to how things were making me feel. It was like going to the gym. It was aesthetics only. It's like I wanted to look good.
Right. It was the show muscles, not the functional muscles.
Biceps.
Yeah, man. Just like get them pumping. Yeah, man. Fuck, man. And so you pull back from that, and then I mean, there's again a gulf where you got diagnosed. What was that story? So you pulled back. You took drugs every day at home to feel normality. Obviously, that wasn't normal. And then what was the gulf between that and the diagnosis, which you talked about publicly after that?
What happened in between that? I guess what. It took quite a while for like my brains to pop, but I feel like it was this one morning I'd been up for days. It's like what I was caning at the time was ecstasy and ketamine, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I'd done a line of K, and then I couldn't move. And I've been in a few K holes.
I was going to say, it wasn't just a regular K hole then. It was like...
No.
Right.
I started to think that God had taken over my body. And I was waiting for instructions from God. And then cut a long story short, after that, I went to the hospital and came down and I was fine. And then thought, okay, maybe I need to slow down. But it was too late by then because I started having these kind of... Have you ever heard of like catatonic schizophrenia?
No.
So basically what happens is that you freeze in weird positions.
Okay.
And I started having that. So one time I was driving and I just froze behind the wheel.
Fuck.
I was shitting myself because I was thinking my rationality started to fade. And in my irrational mind, it was like God was stopping me, and I was waiting for what He was going to do.
While you were driving, you didn't pull over or nothing. You just sort of...
I couldn't pull over.
Oh fuck! So you were still driving. Oh shit! Okay.
So then I was like, at this point where it developed so quickly, where I started to... My rational thoughts were, God's taking over. God's doing this. God's I was Black Jesus at the time, and I then began the missions.
Fuck.
You know, and that happened so quickly.
Wow. So it's not a case of when you're in panic mode and there's nothing you can do, and you're like, well, it's God's will. Whatever happens, happens. This was like something else entirely. This was like full body freezing.
Yeah, I mean, again, I started to do things like I always ask this question: when you want to get up and move, what do you do?
Me?
Yeah. You just get up, right? And you just move.
Depends. I tell myself, get the fuck up. Come on. And there's a bit of self-coercion sometimes. Depends how fucked I am. But yeah.
No, I get that. I get that. But imagine that you... Yeah,
there's an instinct. I just sort of move. Yeah,
I just do that.
Yeah.
So I'm having these points where I can't move, and I'm thinking, how do I get up and move? And then before long, I started to rationalize. Well, not before long, but I'd already started to rationalize these things being God. But then I started to do things like just get up and start walking somewhere, and not have any control over it. and again, before long, writing my own narratives to these things, it was out of control.
What was the point from that point to getting help then? And how did that happen?
It took about 3 months of me.
Fuck, that's a long time. Fuck.
Yeah.
Wow, bruv. Wow. Okay.
Of being quite deep into it. It took about 3 months, maybe 2 or 3 months. And I actually got sectioned because I pulled out, like, I don't want to go too deep into that side of it, like the story of it.
Sure.
But I actually got sectioned because someone called the police on me.
Okay.
And then they was just like some of the things that I said, they were like, the police asked me a few questions, and my responses but my responses were outside of what they would have classed as normality, and then they sectioned me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that's how I started to get help.
Were you still like using regularly at that point as well? Were you still taking Ket and stuff at that point, or had it sort of just been like self-perpetuating? Was this a state in your head, or was it exacerbated by drug use?
It literally just stopped. Because of I lost rationality, and I stopped living like how I was living before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it was almost like a reflex reaction to prevent that, perhaps, like to sort of say, right.
What do you mean? By stopping taking drugs?
Yeah, almost like that.
No, that actually just happened.
Okay.
Because I started to lose my rationality.
Right.
And you don't. In my rationality, I couldn't have found a place to take drugs, because how would I have done that? Especially when everything I was doing was coming from God. Got you.
Wow. Were you raised religious growing up and stuff?
Yeah, my mum's a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So up until the ages of before, up until the ages of me being able to mentions, I was a Jehovah's Witness as well.
Yeah. And that's quite fascinating, bro. Well, did any of that theology come into play in what you were going through?
Yeah, because
again, the teachings returned back.
My mission coming from God, and I was Black Jesus to save the world.
Right. And when you got, I mean, in fact, man. And also big up Nick Hawks. Thank you. That is in the chat as well. Wicked. You know, you know what? And you can tell me to shut the fuck up at this point, right? And you can just say I don't want to answer this. But the process, and it's happened to a couple of friends that have gone through mental illness and been sectioned, but there's quite a lot of stigma around that and not knowing what that means. Do you mind talking about it and what that actually entails?
And
again, you don't have to, brother. That's, you know.
No, of course. I'm just thinking of how to explain what happens. But it's pretty straightforward. If you get sectioned via police, they take you to a hospital, a mental health hospital, and it means that they put you. I've forgotten what they call the section, but it means that they analyze you for 28 days, and then try to provide you with treatment within those 28 days. Usually antipsychotics, and so you're in isolation for 28 days.
And is it like observations to try and diagnose what the problem is and then figure it out?
Yeah, they try and diagnose the problem as to a certain point, but I guess one of the I can't even think of the word. It's so simple, but one of the reasons they section you is to try and bring you down.
Right.
To try to put you on some form of medication to bring you down.
Right.
And then analyze more of what the issue is or what you could be.
Right. So it's kind of like a preventative measure from causing any damage, and then assessing why the underlying causes it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's incredible. And then when did you see yourself re-emerging from that process? Like after that point, you had your 28 days. Did you find that, like, did it take a while to piece yourself back together as you?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it took quite a while for me to properly come down and then realize that most of what I'd been was just like I had mental health and that took a while for me to, because I didn't stay on my meds for a while, and I guess it took about 6 weeks for me to kind of come down and realize, whoa, that was what I had done, and everything that I'd been through wasn't reality. You know, because I feel like I didn't keep up with my medication for quite a while. So I guess for years I was hearing voices.
Okay.
For years and years and years I was hearing voices, and I just never. Sorry, man.
It's all right. So, hello, mate.
Hello. I might have to reset that because I'm on like a phone thingy on.
A gimbal.
Yeah, a gimbal. Sorry.
There you go. I'm using an old mic stand just because it's got that little bit of extra like oomph.
I don't know how I've managed that.
That's all right. Dutch angles, man. That's a creative decision. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
Yeah. Fuck it. Own it, bruv. Own it, bruv. Just maybe
taking it.
There you go. But maybe put your face in the frame, like up a bit in the frame, because otherwise the words in the comments will cover you up a little bit. There you go. So you're comfy. But yeah, so it took a while to piece that back together. And then that was before I saw you at Fabric when you released what was the track? Psychosis. That was your return, right?
Sorry?
That was that return from that whole period for you.
Yeah, and even still, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. But yeah, I guess like I've been writing quite a lot. And at that point, when I came to Fabric, I was still hearing voices.
Oh, fuck. Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, bruv. Okay.
Yeah. But I thought that was going to be me for the rest of my life. I never quite realized that it could change.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was like a sort of premature re-emergence, essentially, or?
Yeah. But I remember that Fabric gig, and it was good. It kind of showed me that I had more time. You know, it kind of showed me that I still had a good fan base.
Yeah, dude, it was fucking lovely seeing everyone like there, like raving to your thing. It was fucking awesome. It was like, yeah, Benny's back. I just remember like falling over. There was like me, Reju, and a bunch of other people just falling over behind you.
Big up to Reju, man.
Yeah, man. Big up Reju. She's wicked. But yeah, shit. And then soon after that, it was again, Benga vanished.
Yeah. I mean, a lot happened again, and it just showed me that obviously playing Fabric and touring for a little while, I realized that I've got this. But after that, mentally, I was unstable again, and I just needed to take my time.
Was that again through like substances, or was it just literally what was like? Was that sort of a tail end, like a fucking reverb tail? Was that a reverb tail, or was it just like were you continuing to use during that period?
Nah, I'd stopped by then taking drugs.
Right.
Do you know what? I smoked a little bit of weed. That never helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
That never helped. But yeah, that was just more me not understanding it enough. You know?
Well, there's just like a little bit left to go through before that re-emergence happened again.
Say that again?
There was a bit more to work through before the re-emergence could happen properly.
Definitely. Because one of the things that I knew was I didn't want to live my old life. You know, and it could have all come crashing down me living my old life without the self-management skills, you know.
And you'd gotten older, and you'd achieved that. You're not the same person you were when you first started.
Definitely.
And that's, I guess, that's a difficult thing to navigate, is that change. Because once you've broken through on a certain path, like, how the fuck do you adjust then if there's no one to help you adjust? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, all these things are journeys. They're all journeys, you know. And I feel like when you, at the point at which I became a lot more self-aware, I then that was another journey on its own.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's ongoing, bro. That's the rest of your life. That's going to be forever, isn't it? That journey is going to be forever. Bro, I need to go for a wee. So has anyone got a question for Benny? Well, I'll quickly go piss and come back.
I'll read it.
Yeah. All right, safe. Right. Everyone, jump in, chat to Benny, keep him company. I'll be back in 2 minutes, yeah? Because I pee like lightning.
See if I can fix this as well.
Yeah.
Done it. I've got loads of tunes, loads of different styles. It's taken me quite a while, and this is the grand. It's taken me quite a while to get my head in a good space. So before I make any decisions, I just wanted to be right in my brain so I could fully commit to these decisions. And who knows? I mean, I've got about 60, 70 dubstep records. So who knows where I go?
Oh. Sorry for that fucking sit down. Like,
I was answering GXVV 99 and Grand's question, which is, am I going to release any more dubstep?
That's an interesting point, man, because I think there's that whole, I've heard the interviews about like that whole fucking hoo-ha that happened when you defined yourself not as dubstep anymore. But actually you're still making stuff at 140. And I guess like D&B, the whole idea was to do different shit with the genre anyway. So as soon as it becomes a certain type of sound, it's not the intent that it once was. You say D&B to someone, they're like, well, which type of D&B? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same, I guess it's the same with dubstep. But then also you guys were like kind of at that peak pre the US kind of aggression. So it's got this whole other connotation to it. So yeah, what was your answer, brother?
It went down one road. It went down one road, and I feel like the essence of dubstep was always creativity and innovation.
100%.
Which I feel still drives a lot of the music that I make now.
Brother, it always has. I think that's the thing. You've always, and in fact, it's this interview you gave, right? Where you're like, listen, man, if you listen to one tune, the only thing the same is the tempos. You listen to one tune, and it hasn't got the same vibe as another. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's always been that. And I think that once they become homogenized and stuff, you kind of fall out of love with it anyway, I guess. Or the term, not at the actual genre, the term.
Again, that it's taken quite a lot of growth for me as a producer and as the musician that I was. It took me quite a lot of growth to appreciate things for what they were. And I feel like carrying that into the music that I make now, even when I make 140 music, I don't think I ever really listened to it and digested it properly. Do you get what I mean? So when I go back to it now, I'm like, whoa, and I'm digesting it in different ways, and I just feel like that's been very helpful to my outlook on dubstep and making it again.
It's interesting stepping back and giving yourself a different perspective on things, but I think that there's also it's got to be so fucking hard being so pioneering, so young, That's got to be such a head fuck. Because everyone's got an assumption of you and what you are and what you make. And then you try and adjust that and you get fucking hit. In fact, Ollie had it too. So did you. Second album for both of you. You both got fucking slewed by everyone. Because you couldn't do what you wanted to because there's this fucking idea of what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now, in the terms of dubstep and what people expected and what you want to do, there's a whole
But you got to be bigger than that. As an artist, you got to be bigger than that. And I just wasn't. At the time, I needed to be wiser, and I keep saying this. I was young, right up until I had mental health issues, and that's when I really started to grow and started to understand, and that was needed throughout. Even from the age of 21, 22, I really needed to start that journey then.
And no one fucking tells you have to do that because you're still living the life and you're still busy doing this thing that everyone else wishes they could do.
Yeah.
So I guess you got this sense of like, fuck, I'm lucky I can do this. What the fuck am I complaining about? Crack on, mate.
I wasn't even thinking that.
Really?
I was just playing shows and going mental.
You're even luckier than I thought, you bastard. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Hey, I was playing shows and going mental. I wasn't even thinking that.
Fuck, bro. Fuck it out. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got the...
to have made the music how I made it, though.
Yeah.
You know, like as you said before, when you were saying that it seemed like this conscious stream straight from my... It was organic. It's nice to have done that because I feel that that's really made me the producer that I am today, man. Out to Grand about Benga's off his head, but listen, that has really made, when I sit down and I have that creativity at all times, like almost every record can be different. And that's a muscle. That's a muscle. That's a muscle that I can flex, and I really appreciate that part of my life and that production.
I think also for me there was that immediacy of punk. Essentially, you got an idea in your head, you get it the fuck down as quickly. It's like, you know what? I'm privileged enough to be friends with a lot of talented motherfuckers across the world, right? Like, and really like different fields and different types of music and writing and all that. And a lot of that is just like doing the practice and the work so that eventually you get out of the way and it's instinct. So all those skills you learn are just like, right, I've learned these tools. Now I'm going to shut the fuck up and just let it flow and let that shit happen. Because I've got, it's like, I know you're going to cuss me, but Prince, same fucking thing, man. You'd rehearse hard and then just crap out a tune, just like there. But his skills were so good that it didn't matter. It's just instinct.
Listen, I recently had another manic episode, right?
Okay.
And in that manic episode, it was the first time that I had wrote so much music. But I learned so much in this episode because one of the things that happened was that...
How recent was it, bro?
Sorry?
How recent was that, bro?
February.
Oh, shit. Okay, super recent. Okay.
Yeah. So I wrote so much music, and one of the things that I learned about that is getting out of your own way. Like you said about Prince, like doing the practice and then just bang, letting it go and just writing. And mate,
was that diagnosed as a manic episode, or was that because I've just been reading about that because of another friend of mine who's going through a similar thing and the heightened energy aspect of it?
Yeah.
They're not good or bad, but they generally can be bad because you do something damaging. But from what I've read anyway, and this is all fucking pop psychology, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking, pop psychiatry, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm asking you for your opinion. Was that like a productive episode? Was that a way of focusing your energy?
It was mental. It was mental because I've never had the tools to, or no. Let me not say that. At first, I've never had an episode like it because it was so productive.
Right.
But I also came out of it, and because it was so productive, I looked at it very positively, and it gave me a way of analyzing the things that happened from a positive light, which was so helpful because usually it's quite negative, and I feel like when I'm analyzing things from such a, I don't know how.
That was amazing. That was fucking
Whoa.
wicked. You know, you could plan those camera angles like a robot. You know when short circuit fucks up, it's exactly that. Like
I think I've
highlighted the problem.
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's see what happens.
Is it a powered gimbal?
Yeah, and I feel like, hold on, I feel like what happens is it just turns itself off.
A tar. Stand by.
Mind its own. But where did I get to?
You got to an episode really productive, and it was the first, like, most productive episode you'd had.
Yeah, and listen, one of the things that I had been doing a lot was I wrote 170 demos, starting from maybe I think November last year, and I realized that I had been in my own way a little bit. And once I was in this episode, I wrote some really crazy music, but still made sense. And then I compared it to the music that I've been writing before. And the music in the episode, I wouldn't say it was better. Not all of it was better, but there were some tracks for me that was just so fire. It just made it helped me reposition myself writing, you know.
That's good. I mean, and it hasn't encouraged you to then want to have another episode to write better, though. No, because that in itself kind of fuckery.
No,
just like,
right. But I understand that.
Yeah,
I've seen that a lot. You know.
Yeah,
I've seen how some people find it hard to live outside of the episodes because of how creative it is and how you know, your rational mind makes you overthink sometimes. And inside that, your rational mind is like so
limiting, perhaps, or sort of or perhaps or judgmental, maybe.
Your rational mind can be so limiting. So yeah, I understand that.
And you feel you found? I mean, like, thank you for sharing that it's a recent thing that's happened to you, but have you found a way of functioning and balancing all of that out so that you're safe and things around you and everything around you safe?
I think the time that this happened was what do you call it? Was I started taking something new and it didn't agree with me. But other than that,
I would have a prescribed medication. You mean?
No, something off the shelf that just didn't agree with what I agree with me, and it was called 5-HTP.
Okay.
And I started taking that, and it just didn't agree with me and sent me.
Why did you start taking that out of interest?
Because I'd had some success with it before.
Right.
But I didn't see. I'd had some success with it before. Sorry.
Yeah. No, not at all. I was just wondering whether it was like an experiment or, like you say, something that, this worked before and whatever, and you want to adjust to it, or whether it was prescribed to you. Because when you said I started taking something new, I was like, what, is there some new designer ting on the market? And, like, yo, was there some new, like, some, like,
you would have been on it.
I was like, bro, some MCAT meets rare. I was like, what? Tell me, man. But but I joke. But that's why I was getting to the heart of why that happened and what the impetus was. Whether it was whether it was like recreational drugs or it was like for personal benefit was why I was asking that, bro. That's why I was trying to figure that out. Yeah. But and then so that leads to your recent reemergence, like your recent sort of like, fuck it, I'm back, and putting the pieces together and approaching it and moving forward. What's the plan then? What do you intend on happening? Is it just organic, like let's just fucking see what happens, or do you have this vision board that you want to bring to life?
Yeah, I have a bit of I have a bit of a vision, but I feel like that which is why I removed everything and I've taken a step back.
Mm.
You know, I've taken a step back again, but I feel quite ready. You know, I feel quite ready. I'm at the point of beginning to take some new steps and do some new things. But as you can tell, even that takes a bit of time, because like even me communicating with you today, I know that it takes a bit of time for me to even start being social again, you know?
Until I start talking about aubergines and stuff, then it's all fucking... But yeah, I fully appreciate you, brother. I was just taking the piss a little bit. But yeah. And I appreciate you taking that, like making the effort and fucking actually making time. And honestly, it's been like, it was so lovely to fucking hear your voice on the phone the last couple of days. I just feel like, oh, it just fucking jokes. I'm just so happy to hear your fucking voice and just chat shit to you. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
likewise, you've got good energy, man.
Well, so do you. And that's, you know, that's as you know, there's this whole thing where, okay, so I'm going to, just some real talk, right? So there's like points when we've both been out and there's been like some fuckery behavior from either one of us or whatever in the past and all that. But I think it's an important thing that you're someone that's fucking tackled that head on and analyzed it and said, right, this is fuckery. I need to progress from this fuckery. And as you said, your motivations have shifted now. It's not just like, I'm going to go out and get fucked up because it's fun. And for me, it was a point of like, as soon as that getting fucked up thing becomes competitive, like how many days can I get fucked up for as like a challenge, it stops becoming fun. It took me years to figure that bit out, you know. It took me fucking ages to figure out that like getting fucked up as a challenge is just not fun. So stop fucking doing it. I was like, oh, you know, and your motivations, I just, it's an important fucking story to tell, bruv, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear that. I feel like you start to forget sometimes how much it affects the rest of your life as well. Like your day to day, and that's something that I realize so much now in terms of feeling good a lot of the time isn't worth. No. I'm explaining that wrong. I feel like it's not worth it. It's just the fact of the moderation aspect of it. How much better is it once you haven't done it for a while?
That's interesting.
How much better? And that's the thing. Like,
but isn't it all fucking transient anyway?
Sorry?
It's all just transient anyway. It's all going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go on. You were saying?
Now, I only had that to say because I feel like when we're talking about when you're talking about motivations changing, again, for me, it's about how much I didn't realize my potential. You know, I signed 2 publishing deals when I was younger, and I don't really want to mention the guy's name, but the hints in what I just said. When I signed these deals, one with Sony ATV and EMI, the first one with EMI, they saw my ability more than I did.
Yeah, because you can just write hooky shit that can be sold like this.
Even still, I never really realized it properly. Thanks for saying that, but I never really realized it properly.
It's fucking. I mean, there's nothing to say, bruv. It's like you got more hooks than fucking any like funk band. It's ridiculous. You're a one-man funk band. It's like funk is constructed of hooks, and it's just like, bruv, you just like literally breed them out. All right, same.
No, respects, man. Respects. It's big. Do you know what? I know this about myself now.
Good.
I think I've known this about myself for a long time, but just never realized it properly.
Or the value of it, maybe, as well.
Sorry?
Or the value of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, there's a comment here, bruv. It's from I think her name is or their name is Mira Sashwit. Sorry, I'm gonna say I'm fucking Indian, and I'm Mira Sashwati. Yes. They're saying this is why the impact and pressures of ageism in the music industry should be addressed. So much pressure and exploitation of young artists, particularly, which is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
Because there ain't no fucking school, or there's no real help to help you figure this shit out.
Yeah, of course. But do you know what? I feel like the people that are younger than me that are coming through now, they seem to be a lot wiser than I was. I feel like there's a lot more to see. People are more open. And I feel like the people that are coming through now are learning more, but are learning. Do you know what? I also, do you know one of the things that I see now as an artist and as an A&R myself, it's I have to be more for these artists.
As someone that can potentially be to guide them through it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's putting undue pressure on yourself, though? In the same way that all you can do is be yourself.
Yeah, to a certain degree, but I feel like in terms of when I look at myself and not reaching my potential, I know that sounds weird because of the success that I've had.
Yeah.
But when I look at myself, it's like most of these people that want to earn money out of you could get more if they managed you better. You know? And I just feel like it's not only about getting more money, it's about delivering greater things. And in order to do that, it's about looking after each other.
Yeah, man. 100%. Yeah, man. Totally. I think there's the reason why I'm so hesitant is because I think that when I speak to people that I try and help or whatever, I'm very, very aware of my own fuck-ups and my own issues. And I'm just I don't want to fucking project that. And in a similar way that you're saying, but I think I've got the stones to say it. Maybe, do you know what I mean? Maybe I won't, maybe I wouldn't live up to that. And that's probably my own issues. But yeah, so how are you going to do that going forward?
How am I going to help people?
And yourself, more importantly, yourself. Because on it, and maybe that's what it is as well, is that I feel weirdly not protectively, but I want you to do well too in any way, shape, or form. And also, you can only help people if you're fucking set and you're looking after yourself too. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. But I've learned a lot of self-management. And I feel like I won't be out there doing things unless I'm 100%. But being 100%, I've learned a lot and I have a lot of experience, and I just want to pass that on.
Yeah.
So in terms of how am I going to do that? How am I going to help people? I'm only just going to pass on my experience and my understanding of what greatness is and can be.
Yeah. And also just basic shit like navigating a fucking publishing deal.
Yeah.
And basic shit about how to release your own shit without suffering a loss each time. Not that you've ever experienced that. I'm saying new artists. I mean,
is that what it's about?
Well, what I mean by that, and let me explain myself a little when I said that, suffering a loss each time means that for me, I was looking at new artists right now and how essentially the industry is kind of fucked. You've got to spend money on ad spend on Instagram or Facebook to get fucking Spotify plays. It's a loss. It's a losing game. You're going to spend money to make nothing. That to me is just a fucking losing paradigm right there. And for me, with other artists, I'm like, if you can get radio play that actually pays publishing revenue, that's what you should be pushing for. Because Spotify plays aren't going to pay you much. It's almost like a figure to boost your next deal moving forward. For the immediacy, if you can get radio play, you're still getting fucking PRS revenue.
Of course.
So focus on that, because just as a basic fucking uncle in my head, you know what I mean? Just as a basic thing where just like kids are like, fuck, I need to get like this many plays or whatever. But we all know streaming revenues are a bit shit. Hey, Reggie's here. Fucking yes, Reggie. Yes, Reggie.
My thing's crashed, so I can see us, but I can't see who's in the chat or anything. So.
You can't see no chats?
No, I can't. My thing crashed a while ago, so I don't know.
No way. Oh, big up Reggie. She just popped up like, yeah.
Much love, Reggie.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm going to just read it out. Miss you, Benny. Been trying to reach you and check on you for years. Oh.
Much love, though, man.
She just literally popped up and went, oh, wow. But yeah, anyway, going back to that industry shit, and I you know, that to me is like, I want artists to make some money, because in this current environment, it's like hamstrung, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that you know, so basic shit like that is invaluable, I think. You know, and similarly, from all your experience about mental health and navigating, you know, suddenly becoming fucking massive is a difficult thing to navigate.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when it comes, the only things that I can say is self-management, self-care, moderation, and the artists that I will have on my label, helping them understand consistency, because I feel like doing something good consistently, and this is just my take, is you will win. I feel like you concentrate on trying to win, but not in the way that you do win, which has never really changed for me. It's doing something really well consistently. I
think it's 100%, and over a longer period of time. It's not an overnight thing. Like you said earlier, your overnight success was fucking time in the making. Do you know what I mean? It took a long time. In fact, there's a question here. Let's just see if you can see this. Can you see that on your screen?
No.
Okay. Josie Devil says, are there any DJs or styles of music that are really exciting you right now? Deep question.
That seemed really bad. That seemed really
just
bad.
Like that whole like.
Because I haven't really been listening to that much music. I've been producing.
I've
been listening to that much music, but the stuff that I do like, or I do hear that raw creativity is drill. But you know what? There's so many things that I hear that I see and think it's wicked. So it's hard for me to answer that. There aren't many styles that I could pick out in style of music, but then there's just so many artists doing great things. So
yeah, man.
To answer that.
Have you heard Sam Binga's new drill stuff?
Who?
Sam Binga.
No.
From Manchester. Oh, hang on. Reggie's got a question here. What does Beni think of Pete and Baz?
Pete and Baz? That's how do you know what? I can't answer that question.
Okay,
she just might show how out of touch I am.
No, but she said 80-year-old drill rappers.
I haven't heard of Pete and Baz.
I'm going to Google them right now. In fact, you know what, bro? On a Google tip, I'm going to send you a bunch of links. There's this one thing we were talking about constantly about using your own experiences as a well of creativity, right? And the sort of next, like sort of trials and tribulations as a form of art. And the thing that I realized yesterday through friends and discussing this was that art is not therapy. You need therapy to get through problems. Art is just literally work. It's just like, that's a big fucking misnomer. And I was like, oh shit, I never thought of it that way before. But there's an interview that I keep banging on about, which is David Bowie and Jeremy Paxman from 1999.
Okay.
I'm going to send this to you.
What did they say?
It's like, okay, so basically Bowie predicts the internet, talks about how art isn't art until it meets the audience. And the mechanism of meeting the audience is just as important as the work itself, which I think is fucking amazing. And how the internet's going to transform how art meets its audience. and the very nature of, and he uses this word, he goes, it's going to change the very nature of content. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Who used the word fucking content back then in 99, except for Bowie talking to Paxman? And Paxman's like, bruv, isn't it just like a method of communication? He's like, no, it's like a fucking alien life force landing on this planet. We haven't even seen the good and the bad it's going to cause.
Yeah.
But the main thing was that, because, you know, Bowie was talking about like how, you know, I used to believe that I had to be, you know, the best art came from a mess. And it took me years to realize that I didn't have to be in the middle of that mess to make great art. It is a fucking wicked interview. I'm just like, bro, profit. I'm like, bro, this is it, man. This is fucking sick. Predicted everything.
When's the last time you created something without thinking about it?
Me?
Yeah.
How do you mean? Like music or?
Yeah, I don't. It could be anything. Because the reason I ask you that is because it sounds like you did a lot of thinking with your creative.
I think that I'm a fucking mess when it comes to creativity, and I get overwhelmed by having no parameters. So as soon as there's restrictions, that's when I thrive. So yeah. Thinking back on it, like my whole career is like, fuck you. Brown people can be not what you want to be. Fuck you. And that was my whole impetus, mate, the whole thing.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, that was it. So everything ever since has been to sort of just tell people to fuck you, is that. And so I guess that the whole idea of someone saying you can't do that, I do it, was the first thing. And then I think you're right. I think I need parameters. Otherwise I get overwhelmed with the options. I need to have some, like either a fucking deadline or a purpose or a reason for this art to be, for me to fucking do anything. Otherwise I end up inert and like constrained by the options.
What I'm trying to say is that you see that you've been smart from very young.
Is that smart? I don't know.
The things you say to me, it comes across that way, yeah.
Fuck. Well, that's very kind of you to say, brother. I'm not so sure whether it's smart or just fucking belligerence. And just fucking, yeah. But that's very kind, bro. I'll accept that. Thank you very much.
It's mad, you know. It is mad because I feel like when I think about writing music, I would say for 10 years, the thought processes were so minimal.
Right.
And when I think about everyone else in the scene, they were smarter than me in terms of they were more, their thought processes within the music were existed more than they did for me.
But can I tell you now is that I find what you have to be more special, and I'm envious of it. So like in terms of those restrictions, that's one thing, but the overthought is the restrictive point. So when you've got, yeah, and big up Jay Muse, just literally answered his question straight away. But that whole, the idea of instinct, that you've got this channel from your head, you got this idea in your head and you can put it on a computer, like that is what everyone fucking dreams of, you know? And Grand 85 is right. You're a genius, because to get that shit out, like the idea of communicating what's in your head so instinctively and so quickly without using words through your art is a really difficult thing to do, bro. So that smartness that you're talking about, I don't think needs to really factor in. I don't think. And that also overthinking for me leads to inertia as well.
Yeah.
So there's an overwhelming, so similarly, I'm envious of your ability to just go with an open palette and just fucking create a singular idea. I can't do that. I need to be fucking corralled into creating something. Whereas you creatively comes natural, bruv. You know? So I think I'm just as like, you know, in awe of you. I'm shocked that you find that smartness thing, or yeah, I guess, you know, the grass is always greener. Hang on, what's Reggie said? Reggie's
again, the grass is
always greener, bruv. Hang on. Hey,
grass is always greener. But when I listen back to my music, it's hard to pin it down.
Well, here you go. Reggie's going to back this up. Reggie, who used to produce my show, when you came on the show. She goes, Benny, you bought a whole load of new music you made in a few days, and literally that morning when you came to see us in the studio, your smartness is effortless. There you go. That's a whole, it's that whole other different level of smartness, bro. A chart. Are you being all different?
I don't know how to feel about that.
Is that you putting on your veil? Hang on, let me get my veil. Hang on. Hang on. If you're getting shy, I'm gonna get shy. Fuck you, man. You can play that game, man. Hang on. Fuck you, man. I'll get my veil on. Yeah. Me and Beni veiling it up, man. Yeah. There you go, man. There you go, man. There you go. I'll hide it too, man. There you go. I can be shy too, Beni. There you go, man.
I just don't know what to say to that. I feel like... Listen, I appreciate it.
Well, you're a fucking G, bro. Do you know what I mean? You're well loved. You're a G. It's fucking glad to see you back, brother. That's the main thrust of it.
Respect.
100%.
Respect.
So right,
there's a lot to come, man.
I can't wait
with the self-management. Do
you know what? I hope it fucking maintains, and I hope we see and hear some of it. And also, once all this shit lifts, I can't wait to see you in the rave as well.
No, respects, man. It will be good. It will be fun.
Of course it will.
Sober for me anyway, but it will be fun.
Dude, you can just point and laugh at me, and I'm happy to be your jester.
Do you know what? I feel like I've seen that a few times anyway, where I'm sober and you're not. You're like just fucked. Fucking all over the shop.
It's definitely happened a few times, for sure, bro. For sure. But look, man, I'm going to go piss again. I'm going to say thank you. And thank you so much for this evening, man. I really appreciate it.
Respects, dude. It's been good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. And thank you for joining us on this conversation. Big up everyone in the chats. Yeah. And you know what? Also, one of the things I want to mention is that in the DJ world right now, before we go, there's a lot of DJs getting sober and touring sober. Do you know what I mean? So, Beni, you're not alone. And in fact, it doesn't mean that you have to be a fuckhead to get into music at all. No, there's lots of sober DJs. There's lots of people reconfiguring their lives and making it about the music and their own health. So,
you couldn't have said anything better than making it about the music.
Exactly. 100%.
Making it about the music. What a closing statement. You're a G.
Big love, bruv. Can't wait to see you in the flesh and touch your face. I'm going to carry a little baby Bengan in my pocket next time I see you.
A little what?
Baby Bengan.
I didn't know what you said there, and I was worried for a minute.
But I told you about the aubergine thing, innit?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I hear you properly in.
Cross-cultural collaborations. Very good. Remix. Big up. Yeah, man, for sure. Bang and banger, I'm telling you. Spicy beats. Yeah, man. All right, bro. Bang and banger by Benga. All right, cool. Big love, bro. Speak to you soon.
Much love, man. Take care.
Mwah. Bye.